Over the last few months, we've witnessed the beginning of a new arc in the Baki series story. This part of the manga is called Baki Rahen and focuses on Jack Hanma on his path to defeat his father, Yujiro Hanma. In this video, we'll discuss Jack Hanma's chances of defeating Baki, his younger brother. Some people say that Jack currently stands no chance against Baki, who is almost on the same level as Yujiro. However, here I bring you my opinion on this matter. While Jack's main goal is to defeat his father, it's clear that he'll have to face fighters like Doppo, Katsumi, Hanayama, Pickle, and obviously, they'll also have to confront Baki. The only fighter who has given Yujiro a matched fight was Baki. So, if Jack really wants to prove that he's ready to face the ogre, he'll first have to surpass Baki. Both have come off significant victories. Baki managed to send the legendary swordsman Musashi Miyamoto back to the other world. He didn't defeat him alone, but the outcome of the fight could be attributed as a victory. And recently, he defeated Nomi, the sumo god, in 9 seconds. Some will say Nomi was weakened and injured, but if we remember correctly, Baki defeated him in an exhibition match they had at the beginning of the sumo arc. On the other hand, Jack also secured a decisive victory against the Rikishi. However, after his last fight against Kosho, where he emerged victorious, many people have argued that Baki wouldn't have had as much trouble defeating Kosho. In fact, Jack temporarily lost his sight after Kosho cut his optic nerve, something many consider to be a massive oversight on Jack's part. And speaking of his fight against Nomi, it cannot be denied that he had some difficulties defeating him. Indeed, he admitted that if the Rikishi had had his pinky finger, he would have won with that final attack that failed. It's important to remember that Jack bit off Nomi's finger, which caused the Rikishi to lose half his grip strength, preventing him from executing his final move with full power. Some say that Jack was lucky in that fight, as if Nomi had been in perfect condition, the outcome might have been different. Well, those are divided opinions, but I personally think that Jack would have won even if Nomi had all this power in that fight. The thing is simple. Jack never showed concern throughout the fight. One might say he didn't even use all this strength. Let's take as reference his fights against Pickle and against Baki. In those 2 fights, Jack fought to his limit, used everything he had, and this was reflected in his body. When Jack is pushed to the limit, his body starts to suffer severe damage, his muscles contract, and he begins to lose muscle mass, all because the chemicals begin to lose their effect. In the fight against Nomi, this didn't happen, and instead, he appeared very relaxed, as if he had the fight under control the whole time. But while that doesn't justify that it took him longer to defeat the Rikishi than it took Baki to do so, the thing is that with Baki, it was a special case. He was challenged to end the fight in 10 seconds, and therefore used his special move, the one with which he knocked out Yujiro and Olio Biscuit, in less than a second. Thanks to developing that move, he managed to defeat Nomi instantly. However, if the fight hadn't had that challenge of both needing to defeat their opponent in less than 10 seconds, perhaps the combat would have lasted a bit longer. And obviously, we must add the fatigue factor, since Nomi had been beaten up by Jack and Oliva Biscuit before fighting Baki. The guy didn't wait his proper recovery time and went straight to challenge the strongest man in the world. I'd say it was a very foolish decision that was taken lightly. Therefore, based on those fights, we cannot definitively conclude that Jack doesn't have the capacity to defeat Baki. After all, Motobe managed to defeat both Musashi and Jack, despite no one believing he would survive those encounters. This series has taught us that, in combat, cunning and strategy play a crucial role. While Baki might knock out Jack in 10 seconds, it could also happen that Jack bites a vital point of Baki at the start of the fight. Despite his size, Jack has been shown to have incredible speed, not at Baki's level, but he could keep up during the fight. Moreover, I don't think either of them would want to end the match so quickly. What's likely, both would want to have a long and hard-fought battle. That's how Hanma blood works. However, in my personal opinion, Baki has more chances of winning in a hypothetical fight. He has been present in Jack's recent fights and has observed his new fighting style. It's very likely that he has already thought of something to counter Jack's fight. On the other hand, Jack also knows Baki's fighting style and what he's capable of after seeing him fight Yujiro and Musashi. Let's make things clear. If Jack thought he could defeat Baki and Yujiro at this moment, they would be the first ones he would have challenged. However, he knows he still has a way to go to reach that level, and that's why he decided to start from the bottom with opponents like Kosho, Katsumi, Doppo, or Pickle. He knows these fights will help him perfect his fighting style, and after defeating them all, he will come with a lot of experience and energy to finally face his father and brother. So to conclude, It seems unlikely today that Jack will surpass Baki, although it's not completely ruled out. Personally, I believe Baki has a 60% chance of winning against a 40% chance for Jack. Obviously, we're not considering the possibility of Jack awakening the demon back. With that power-up, he would surely be on the same level as Baki or even above. The thing is, at this point in the series, it seems very unlikely that Jack will obtain the demon back. Everything seems to indicate that Itagaki wants to strengthen him without needing to give him the demon back. Looking at things from another perspective, Jack's training deserves a lot of credit, as without needing that power-up, he has been gradually approaching the level of Baki and Yujiro. But well, before ending the video, I'd like to answer some questions that were left in the comment box in the previous video. How much weight could Yujiro Hanma bench press? Well, that's an interesting question, but I really don't have an answer, since we've never seen Yujiro perform such a demonstration. He has shown us how strong his grip strength is, and also how fast he is. But we've never seen him lift any very heavy object to measure how much weight he could lift. The only thing we could take as a reference would be his fight against the African elephant that weighed approximately 500 tons. Yujiro didn't lift it, but he did completely dominate it and managed to knock it to the ground with his brute strength alone. I would venture to say that Yujiro could lift about a fifth of this animal's weight, which would be about 100 tons approximately. This is just an assumption, taking into account the way Yujiro dominated the animal. The ogre was able to manipulate the weight of the elephant with relative ease, and although he didn't lift it as we would have liked, he showed us that he would have no problem defeating a creature even bigger and heavier than that. In summary, I would say that Yujiro could lift 100 tons, which would be equivalent to the weight of a large blue whale, or one of the largest and heaviest military tanks currently in existence. However, I'll let you guys help me debate this in the comment box. Tell me, how much weight do you think Yujiro Hanma could lift? And well, one last question before closing the video. Someone asked if Pickle could ever learn to speak and behave like a human. The truth is, I've also thought about this, and after reflecting and doing some reading online, I've come to the conclusion that it would be impossible for Pickle to learn to speak or understand concepts such as society and the laws that govern it. First of all, we must consider that Pickle is not a Homo sapiens. He's human, but from millions of years in the past. It's not the same as teaching a baby to speak. It would be more like teaching a chimpanzee to speak. I make this comparison because, unlike modern humans, Pickle's anatomy is different, and while he is physically superior in certain aspects, he has also been left behind in human evolution. Modern humans developed their vocal cords to learn to communicate with each other, something that Pickle has not done. To achieve that, he would have had to evolve alongside the human species throughout all these millions of years. However, this is not the case. Just by mere evolution, it would be impossible for Pickle to learn to speak or understand concepts like the constitution of a country. Although one way to communicate with him would be to teach him a basic sign language, in the same way that is done with some primate species. But the truth is that Pickle is very intelligent and has managed to adapt to life in Tokyo. Currently, he lives in the city's sewers and gets his food from the animals that inhabit the parks and nearby lakes. And well, that's been all for this video. I apologize if I haven't uploaded much content lately, but work prevents me from being very active on the channel. But don't worry, I'll try to upload new videos at least once a week. And well, friends, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you liked it. I hope you have a nice day or night. See you soon.